He felt Scottie was looking for another no-lose situation like Chicago, where winning would be a credit to his leadership and losing would be someone else's fault. Barkley said he'd heard the Lakers didn't even want
That does sound like LeBron James, doesn't it, guys? All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I wanted to check out this video from Secret Base. This one is something that I think slipped through the cracks with a lot of people in this era. It was Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley, their beef, and how they teamed up at one point and how it went very interestingly, and how we kind of got to see how egos can ruin a possibly good thing. I'm just gonna leave it at that for now, and we'll talk throughout the video because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who doesn't know this story. But this video is from Secret Base, and it's called Scottie Pippen's Beef with Charles Barkley is what happens when you don't listen to Michael Jordan. And I know exactly what that means, but let's check it out. I'm going to link the original video down below in the description. So if any of you guys want to check it out without my commentary, go right ahead. And even if you don't do that, I highly recommend you subscribe to Secret Base, one of my favorite sports YouTube channels. But I primarily watch their basketball stuff, to tell you the truth. Anyways, so the link's down there for you guys. Everybody else, please leave a like to this video. I'd appreciate it a lot. And without further ado, let's see what happened with Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley spent over a decade as acquaintances, playoff opponents, fellow All-Stars, Olympians, and public figures. Those years passed mostly without incident, but when Pippen and Barkley reached their twilights, they became co-workers. It went poorly.
Yeah. What did that say, by the way? Being a baby.
Poorly.
Sorry, fat butt. Yep.
This beef hit the grill in early 1999 and got burnt to a crisp before that year ended. Should we have seen it coming? How did Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley feel about each other throughout the late 80s and 90s? Let's examine. Before his strange final seasons, Charles Barkley was an MVP-level superstar, capable of carrying teams deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, MVP.
But those teams never made it all the way, thanks in part to one of Barkley's best friends.
Hey, to be fair, if it was anybody at the as the final boss other than Michael Jordan, yeah, Chuck would have easily won a championship in Phoenix.
Barkley and Michael Jordan were very close in this era. They hung out, played golf, and made award-winning films. Even as NBA Finals opponents, Chuck and Mike enjoyed each other's off-court company.
Yeah, they were best friends.
But on the court, Jordan and the Chicago Bulls were most cruel to Charles. They always won in the playoffs, against Barkley's Sixers in 90 and 91, and against Barkley's Suns in those 1993 finals. Jordan had people. Most of all, he had Scottie Pippen, one of the greatest defenders ever, a scorer talented enough to lead any other team, the kind of overqualified sidekick Barkley would have killed for. Hold that thought. So we have MJ, his best teammate, and his best pal, who was often an opponent. What sort of triangle was this? Was it scalene? Was it another kind of triangle? Early on, Pippen and Barkley seemed to get along fine. They sometimes guarded each other and did so with an acceptable level of competitive energy. They played in all-star games together. They traveled the world together as Olympians. And they shared sponsors. Here's a Coke commercial they did together, albeit one in which Charles trucked Scottie into the wall.
I remember that.
The only clashes visible to the naked eye were of...
Hey, anybody remember Shut Up and Jam basketball? I think it was... Oh, man. I can't remember what console that one was on. But then also Scottie Pippen had one on the Sega CD, which was terrible. It was like full motion video in its beginnings, and a basketball game around full motion video. It was terrible. I remember playing it once at a friend's house, and I was like, dude, this is the worst basketball game ever.
The ordinary macho variety, like all this grappling and trash talk they exchanged during the '93 All-Star Game, which smelled to Magic Johnson like a preview of June.
And that just to let Pippen know, if we reach the finals, you reach the finals, this is what you're going to get.
Yep, and he did.
Barkley and Pippen laughed off that all-star battle, although Scottie would not repeat what was said. But Magic was right. Scottie and Charles matched up plenty in the 93 finals and had their moments. Scottie dunked on Charles, Charles talked shit, Scottie came out of it with a ring.
Hey, Charles played great, by the way. Okay, before this gets to the meat of the matter, I just want everybody to approach this as a lesson in humility and to recognize your ego and to check your ego when necessary. Reasons. Scottie Pippen believed he was, well, now we know, at least one of the greatest players of all time, right? And it was because he was in Jordan's shadow that he wasn't getting the credibility that he deserved. But he really believed he was that dude, right? And I'm not taking anything away from him. Scottie was fantastic, best number 2 guy. But he wasn't that dude, right? Charles Barkley, also, his ego was riding high. When he literally believed he was the best player in the world as well, and then got humbled by Michael Jordan. And he said that was the first time he ever realized, I'm not the best in the world. That guy right there is. But coming from that, he thinks he's number 2. So we got these 2 guys that their ego is saying, I'm the second best player in the world. Take out Michael Jordan, and I'm the best. And now we're going to put these guys together on a team. How do you think that's going to go when both of them have that mindset? All right. The plate is set.
Pretty regular stuff. Wholesome basketball-level conflict. Any real intrigue came later, like when Roland Lazenby wrote about Pippen berating Barkley for kissing the ass of a finals opponent. So, not nothing, but nowhere near full-blooded beef. Later that year, Jordan retired for the first time. The Bulls became Scottie's team.
Mm-hmm.
After a season and a half leading the way, Scottie got fed up. By early 1995, it was well known that Pippen wanted to be traded and that the Suns, Barkley's sons, were interested. Speaking at 1995 All-Star Weekend in Phoenix, Pippen sounded cool with the idea of sticking in that city long term.
We heard Jerry Colangelo of the Suns add a little fuel to those rumors earlier by saying yes, he would like to have Scottie Pippen. It'd be pretty easy to just stay in this town, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
Barkley.
Man, in theory, I would have loved to have Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley in Phoenix. Well, we still had like KJ and Marley and all those guys. But yeah, in theory, on paper, that would be fantastic.
Was even more enthusiastic and dropped another name that will become relevant.
Hey, anybody in their right mind would love to play with Scottie Pippen. He's the best non-center basketball player in the world today. Other than Hakeem Olajuwon, he's the best player in the world.
But a trade was not in Pippen's fate. He remained a Bull through the deadline, much to his dismay. Then Jordan returned a month later, and this side of the triangle won 3 more championships.
Yep, sure did.
The non-trade was one of several times the Bulls...
Oh, repeat. Oh, man, I want that shirt again. Dang. What was I thinking back then? I still have a bunch of newspapers from all the Bulls championships, but I don't have any of the clothes anymore. I mean, they would be like so small because they were like kid sized, but damn, those hats especially.
Held on to a grumpy Scottie, and that turned out okay for both parties. Barkley wanted what the Bulls had. In 1996, he demanded a trade and got it to the Houston Rockets, where he'd join one of the players he most admired.
And by the way, that broke my heart. And I think he probably regrets this. I haven't heard him speak much on it, but he loves Phoenix still to this day. We treated him better than any organization ever has, and he found that out after he left. And I think he had a better chance of winning here than he had anywhere else. We were a solid team, and we just weren't getting over the hump. But he was our leader, so a lot of that was on us, even though he was playing great. It was his job to figure out a way, and he was gaining weight. So when he first came to Phoenix and had his MVP year, he was in great shape, running up and down the court like a young man, and he started getting fatter. It's like the Shaq curse. First year in a new organization, like, he did, when he started out in Orlando, skinny. Started out in LA skinny, but after a couple years, he's starting to put on the weight. Miami, he arrived there overweight, got skinny, and then proceeded to gain weight. Charles Barkley and him are very similar when it comes to their eating patterns.
Trade and got it to the Houston Rockets, where he joined one of the players he most admired,
Hakeem the Dream.
Olajuwon.
Best big man.
Those Rockets teams were good, but the core players were aging, often injured, and occasionally at odds. The Stockton-Malone Jazz knocked Houston out of consecutive postseasons, earning the chance to watch Mike and Scottie win rings 5 and 6. After the '98 championship, the NBA had itself a lockout. Just as the league reopened for business in January of '99, Jordan retired again. It was time for the Bulls to start over, and they weren't going to do that by handing the 33-year-old Pippen a big new contract. Instead, Scottie went to Houston in a sign and trade.
Yeah, sign and
agreeing
trade.
to a contract worth $67 million over 5 years.
And this is where it happens that a lot of people don't understand, because Scottie Pippen, he's in money. He has money issues now. Scottie Pippen actually made more money in the NBA off of contracts than Michael Jordan did. But Michael Jordan invested his money and also did a lot of sponsorship deals, obviously. And yeah, he was way better at managing his money because Jordan's a billionaire now. And Scottie's in some financial trouble. But I always like to make it clear when it comes to their actual main job, which is being a basketball player, Scottie Pippen made more, and it's because of this. In the beginning, Scottie Pippen was getting robbed by the Chicago Bulls. But by the end, yeah, he got paid $67 million. That's good money back then. I mean, until Shaq signed that deal with the Lakers for, was it 120 million, I believe. And that was the biggest of all time. So for an old Scottie Pippen at $67 million, he got hella paid.
Big money. Not the kind of cash Houston could pay him without making some room under the salary cap. To make said room, Barkley accepted a 1-year contract worth $1 million, perhaps half as much as he could have earned. Everyone got a
that
kick.
was a very unselfish move. You could tell Barkley this was ring chase time, because he knew he was going to retire soon, and he desperately needed a championship before he retired. Nobody else would take $1 million for a season in his position, but he really wanted to win.
Out of a former MVP making less salary than, say, Matt Bullard. But Barkley was a good sport about the pay cut and
saying his trainer makes more money than him.
welcomed Scottie. Charles really, really wanted a ring, and Scottie appreciated that.
I think having Charles really campaigned to get me here really, showed me that he wants to win a championship.
Very sweet, but don't forget,
I gave $60 million.
the so-called Super Friends, a Hall of Fame front court, sounded ready for action, although ready is a relative term. Barkley had spent the work stoppage recovering from 2 injuries. Surgery on a torn triceps he'd suffered in the '98 playoffs, plus chronic hernias. That's a lot of
Chronic
rehab for a
hernias.
guy whose work ethic people often doubted.
Dang, man. I had a hernia back in the day, high school, actually. And that wasn't pleasant. Chronic hernias, though, because that needed surgery. And I don't remember that. Was Charles just dealing with it? Because that would suck, man. Gravity is your enemy. And if you're running up and down the court and jumping up and down, that is terrible with a hernia. Or was he getting it repaired and it constantly kept tearing? I'm curious. I don't remember this anymore.
People, including Michael.
Charles Barkley, I told, would never win because he doesn't dedicate himself to winning. But
Jordan found time in his damn retirement press conference to call one of his best friends lazy. Incredible. And in character, Barkley arrived a couple days late to Rockets training camp because he'd spent the weekend golfing with Michael. Pippen, who was coming off back surgery himself, made note of that and said he'd sit down with Charles to talk about the dedication needed to go for it. A relationship that once hinged on this guy was getting much more intimate.
Yep. See, now Scottie Pippen thinks he's the new Michael Jordan. And this is
A
because
relationship
back in the Bulls, it was Jordan setting the tone. What does it take to win? What kind of dedication does it take to win? But now Jordan's out of the picture, and it's these two guys. And, the beef is starting because Barkley already sacrificed a ton of money to get Pippen on board. But now Pippen is going to be like, he's going to play this I'm above you because he won championships with Michael Jordan. So he's going to try to set the tone of what it takes in order to win a championship. You can already see how this is going to go.
Relationship that once hinged on this guy was getting much more.
And he said it in a press. I'm sorry for pausing so much, but that's key. He didn't say it to his face, man to man. Hey, Chuck, let's have a conversation. He said it to the press. So Charles Barkley doesn't hear it from Pippen's own mouth. He reads it and goes, what the fuck? Because that's your natural reaction. Like, what the hell? Why is he saying this crap about me? And then you don't even want to talk to him. All right. No more pausing. I love this story.
Go for it. A relationship that once hinged on this guy was getting much more intimate. Early on, that went fine. The Super Friends had a lot of fun playing together in the brief preseason.
The Super Friends.
Golf notwithstanding, Charles was in shape. He'd actually spent the offseason conditioning for once, forced by the criticism to reflect and self-motivate. Barkley was even working with Jordan's trainer, Tim Grover, who followed Pippen to Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Barkley missed a couple weeks of February after yet another surgery, but still sounded positive. The team was more cohesive with Pippen. Everybody was working toward the same goal. Pippen didn't necessarily agree. In Phil Jackson's triangle offense, he'd been the second scorer and top front court option. It was tough adjusting to Houston's system, where he was a third option behind two commanding inside presences.
And I was going to say, all this time, in the back of my mind, all I'm thinking, Hakeem Olajuwon's the real leader. That's the real guy in Houston. I always compare him to being the big man version of Jordan because there was no weakness in Hakeem's game. Offensively and defensively, he was that good. So shouldn't he be in charge? But instead, we got this battle of the two new guys. Man, I bet Hakeem hated this. You got a battle with these two new guys just came over here, and their egos are so high that they're fighting over, like, who's the guy, who's the leader. But he's like, I already won 2 championships here without you fools. Poor Hakeem.
These quotes from right after Barkley's knee surgery bear the faintest aroma of beef.
That's
In earshot
that's
of a reporter, Charles joked that Scottie should lend him $10 million. Scottie told the same reporter that in the Houston offense, he caught himself standing around more than he was accustomed to. And that was without Barkley taking his touches away. By March, Charles was back, and Pippen really aired out his discontent. Scottie didn't feel involved. He wasn't having fun. He didn't understand why the Rockets had wanted him. He also fully understood that complaining caused problems for his team.
Okay, yeah. Remember when he was with the Bulls? Oh, man, for how many years? How many years was he complaining with the Bulls? But back then he was complaining about money, right? And that was supposed to be it. We all thought, okay, once Scottie gets paid, if he gets paid, he's not going to be complaining anymore. He's going to be happy. Well, Scottie got paid. And now he found something else to be angry about and upset about. So, after a certain point, you see a pattern and you go, I guess that's just who he is. That's just who he is. He's gonna find something bad, hyper focus on it, and that's gonna outweigh everything else. And he's gonna be very public about it. I didn't know that when I was a kid. I didn't think about it that much, but now that I'm an adult and I go back and I look back and see, man, he was everywhere he went. He was stirring up problems. And sometimes I support him because I feel like he's justified. But then when he's stirring up problems out of thin air that shouldn't exist in a time where he should be happy, I can't really get behind him on this.
Coach Rudy Tomjanovich tried to accommodate Pippen, but it was hard since the former superstar was putting up some of the worst.
There. This is huge. He has an inability. He has shown an alarming inability to finish. That's what Jordan was. Jordan. That's what made the duo so successful. Jordan was the finisher. Pippen was the guy doing a lot. You know what I mean? You can. I'm not going to compare him to LeBron James because I respect him a lot more than I respect LeBron James. But the whole, like, you know, he'll get you there. He'll get you to that finish line, but somebody else has to finish the job. That's what I mean by that. I'm not comparing him in any other way, but in that way, very similar. And Jordan was the best finisher in the business, hence their 6 rings together. But Rudy T, I don't blame him. He's defending himself now because Pippen's coming after him. So Pippen's coming after Barkley and Rudy T now, you know, saying he doesn't like the way the offense is flowing. Who's that a jab at? Rudy T, 2-time champion coach.
Worst numbers of his career. Pippen found some trouble off the court, too.
Ouch.
He got arrested in April for drunk driving.
Forgot about that.
And here I'll point out Charles reacting by calling Scottie a role model and by teasing him over the team playing PA. Weird times. 2 weeks later, the Rockets headed to Los Angeles for a first-round playoff series against the Lakers. Game 1 presented the Rockets their best chance to pull ahead and steal the series, but they botched crunch time. Olajuwon missed what could have been the dagger, and on the rebound, Barkley grabbed Shaquille O'Neal, a famously bad free throw shooter.
Good call.
Indeed, Shaq missed 1 of 2, preserving Houston's lead, but on the next play, Pippen lost the ball trying to beat Kobe Bryant off the dribble. Kobe ended up winning it with 2 clutch free throws.
Yeah, no, he's not an ISO player at all. That was Jordan's job. He's not an ISO dude. He's more of a playmaker.
Scottie saved his post-game grief for Barkley's intentional foul on Shaq. Charles didn't want to get into a battle, but defended his decision. He noted that Houston had the lead and the ball until Scottie turned it over.
Yeah, everybody did the hack of Shaq back then.
In any event, LA took 2 of the next 3 games and won the series. Season 1 of the Super Friends was over, and the Friends weren't feeling so super.
Nope.
Barkley was leaning toward retirement, though he'd said that before.
He's pulling a Brett Favre.
Pippen called the season in Houston a challenge, a disappointment. So what next? Barkley hoped the team would find a point guard, since they barely had one, and he hoped they could add more youth and athleticism to take some weight off Pippen. But Pippen's mind was elsewhere. As soon as the Lakers hired Scottie's old coach, Phil Jackson, they started contacting Houston about a reunion. Pippen liked the idea of rejoining Phil, and by mid-August, he'd asked for a trade to LA.
That's funny, because when Pippen came out and made all those allegations recently, saying that like Phil was a racist and all this, interesting, because back then, he wanted to go back and play for him again. Ironic, huh? How people revise history. I never believed Scottie for 1 second when he said it. And I also saw footage of the Lakers when they were three-peating, and I saw Scottie Pippen in the practice area with the team in like workout clothes, but not like official gear, and he was helping them run the triangle. So he was like, all I'm trying to say is he obviously had a good relationship with Phil Jackson, and it lasted for many years past the point where they actually worked together. So that's why I never believed those allegations that he made. He was just not well.
Pippen's agent described his client as frustrated, unwilling to stomach another year in an offense where one of the best players in the world was relegated to throwing entry passes. At the time those quotes came out, Barkley and Pippen were together in Hawaii for a big golf outing. Yet Charles said he heard nary a peep from Scottie about any trade demand. He found out through the news. Charles told Scottie he was disappointed in him.
Ouch.
He told the Houston Chronicle that Scottie should apologize to the fans, the team, and to Charles himself. Be a man. And he went further. He felt Scottie was looking for another no-lose situation like Chicago, where winning would be a credit to his leadership and losing would be someone else's fault. Barkley said he'd heard the Lakers didn't even want
That does sound like LeBron James, doesn't it, guys? It's hard for me because Pippen was literally my guy. I'm the younger brother. My older brother taught me basketball, made me love basketball, and basically trained me from the age of 5 years old. So I always saw myself as Scottie Pippen when we played together, and when I was alone, I saw myself as Jordan. But I loved Scottie Pippen because I respected him for taking that role as the number 2, and then to rise up as the number 1 when it was called for. So this hurts, but I am seeing so many similarities personality-wise between him and LeBron James, and it sucks. We win, I deserve the credit. We lose, it ain't my fault.
Pippen. He called Pippen a baby, but made it clear that Houston wanted and needed that baby back on the team.
The baby back,
Even with
baby
that
back,
looming
baby back.
uncertainty, Charles planned to sign a new contract with Houston. 1 year, $9 million.
That's a little better.
That was compensation for the Pippen-friendly cut he'd taken the prior year, although Charles now says it was short of what he'd been promised.
Yeah.
He responded accordingly. Pippen and Barkley
Oh
both
no,
traveled
did you guys
to
see that?
what he'd been promised.
Hold on.
He
Barkley says he got fat out of spite after the Rockets gave him less money. Damn. I was going to say, my main memories of him in a Houston Rockets jersey is him being seriously fat. So it looks like he got in shape 1 year. They didn't win, and then he got fat. Dude, this is how it works when you love eating. I've gone through my phases where any excuse, I'm like, screw it. I'm going to gain 20 pounds now. I don't care, and then I have to burn it off like an idiot. But when you love food, you're willing to give up food for something big. Like he thought he was going to win a championship that first year with Pippen and Olajuwon. It didn't go well. So now he's going to make any excuse to get fat. And this is it. I'm gonna get fat and play worse because you guys didn't pay me as much as you said you would. I mean, it's valid enough, but this ain't gonna be good for the team.
responded accordingly. Pippen and Barkley both traveled to Europe and actually played together in a Nike-sponsored All-Star game against Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
Team chemistry didn't sound too great in that setting either. But in August, Pippen wasn't saying much beyond that he expected to become a Laker. In late September, Scottie went in. Pippen was still a Rocket, but burned that bridge anyway.
He called him
He
fat.
sneered at Barkley's demands for an apology and called some names.
Oh, it's about to get bad.
Anything you owe me an apology for coming and play with his sorry fat butt.
After
He
one
just, it's because of him that you got the biggest payday of your entire life. No matter how you feel, you got 6 championships. Throughout those 6 championships, you complained about money the whole time. Now you've got an endless supply of money, generational wealth. And you want him to apologize to you? I would never, in this situation, if somebody got me that much money and they got fat, I would never ask them for an apology. No way. Nope, not going to do it. I already got 6 rings. It's fine. It is what it is. Maybe I want to leave the team, but I'm never going to be like, Charles Barkley, you owe me an apology. No, I owe you my thanks. I'm not obligated to play with you for the rest of my life, so I could leave. But thank you. Like, for the rest of my life, you got me like, what was it, like $60-something million? Like, thank you. My grandchildren will thank you.
season in close proximity, Pippen agreed completely with Jordan's diagnosis of Barkley.
He doesn't show me the desire to want to win. And I probably should have listened to Michael a year ago when he said that Charles never will win a championship because he doesn't show any dedication.
That's called triangulation, by the way. Now he's pulling Jordan involved when Jordan should have nothing to do with this. So now he's going to triangulate it because him and Jordan are best friends, and he's going to try to ruin that friendship of Charles Barkley to punish him. Psychology. Ugh. It's manipulation is what it is.
This was war. The Rockets did not want war. If they had any misgivings about trading Pippen, their hand was now forced. They had to get a deal done before training camp, and they did, sending Pippen not to LA, but to Portland in exchange for most of the Blazers bench. So Rockets camp opened without any distraction. It was the dawn of a new era. But of course, reporters asked Charles about the Pippen interview. He responded with his usual blend of criticism and humor. He didn't like being called out publicly.
I think also he crossed the line. There's some guys, like I said, I have played with I did not like, but I would never voice that opinion about them publicly.
Yep.
And if Scottie was only going to apologize at gunpoint, Charles was happy to oblige.
Well, he said he would never apologize.
Even at gunpoint.
But as you know, I always carry a gun with me.
And they're in Houston, Texas.
So if I get arrested for murder, y'all know he didn't apologize.
Barkley implied it was insecurity that caused Pippen to break an unwritten rule by attacking a teammate. Now that they were separated, Charles said he was pumped up to prove Scottie wrong. From Blazers camp, Pippen was like, oh, hey, when I called Charles fat and said he wasn't dedicated to winning, I didn't mean that personally. He predicted that all this would be forgotten when the two next met.
How's that not personal? You're fat and you're not dedicated to winning. Nothing personal. Does that work for you guys?
But as far as apologizing to Charles,
Does it still stand that Barkley wouldn't get an apology from you even at gunpoint, as you stated last week?
No, I don't know Charles an apology, and I'm not really looking forward to making it more.
so Pippen wasn't going to talk to his old teammate, but he kept right on talking about him. Scottie said he took heat from the media because reporters loved Barkley. Pippen said Barkley made too big a deal of the pay cut, that he hadn't made Barkley do that, and hey, that's what happens when only one team wants to sign you. Pippen claimed he only ended
Burn. Damn, Scottie. God.
up with the Rockets because
Hold on, I'm sorry because I paused it. When I went to Houston last year, it was sort of a quick decision, something that was not allowing me the full opportunity of exploring free agency due to the lockout. Okay, so now he's making an excuse. It's Houston's fault now. It's not Pippen's fault. Really, what's going on is Pippen really thought he was better than this. He thought he was Michael Jordan, and he can get it done on his own. And now he realized he can't, so now he has to blame everybody else, including a two-time championship coach, a former MVP, sorry, two former MVPs on his team, and a very good organization in the Houston Rockets. So he has to blame everybody.
post-lockout free agency was so rushed. The war of words got people all excited for a late November showdown between the Blazers and the struggling Rockets, but just like Scottie predicted, nothing came of it. No confrontation, no acknowledgement, no words exchanged. Pippen said it was over and behind him. Barkley said the same thing his own way. A few days later, Sports Illustrated published a feature with some late arriving shots. Pippen said Barkley was a hypocrite for complaining about the public attacks. He said Barkley was lying about Pippen's silence
Wait,
during the
I saw something about Oliver Miller. Okay, Pippen calls that a joke. He's been calling Oliver Miller fat since he's been in the league. Well, Oliver Miller was fat. That was a big problem here in Phoenix. We called him the Big O, but not like in a complimentary way. He's always put his teammates down. Yeah, there was a big problem. I mean, we're talking he was like 100 pounds overweight. He had a very serious eating problem, Oliver Miller.
for complaining about the public attacks. He said Barkley was lying about Pippen's silence during the golf outing in Hawaii with Jason Kidd as his witness. Barkley blamed Pippen for failing to live up to his large contract and said he stuck by him through all the negativity. Pippen recalled what Jordan had said in the press conference, and his wife Larsa put it bluntly. Scottie didn't let the Rockets down. The sorry Rockets didn't want to work hard. But the feud was over. A ruptured quadriceps tendon the same month permanently ended Barkley's championship pursuit. Scottie and Charles would never again share a basketball court. Pippen broadcast his sympathy, but wasn't quite sure how to offer
I may
direct.
send him a plant. What the hell, dude? Who says that? Your season, my teammate's season is over. I feel bad for him. I may send him a plant.
Condolences. Should he just send a plant? He figured Charles didn't want to call
Dad,
him.
it gets worse. Okay, so he was laughing when he said the plant thing, and he says, I feel bad for him, actually, but I don't know if I plan on doing anything for him. That's great. Dude, just shut up then. I may give him a call and make him feel better, or make him feel worse. I don't know. Man. Yeah, you're not a homie. You're not you're not that dude.
From him. Pippen praised Barkley in his own way. He said the league would miss him, or at least would miss beating him. That tone reads like the old Jordan-era Pippen-Barkley relationship.
I know. That's you're supposed to be your teammate right now. You're not opponents anymore.
Outright name-calling, more respectful, detached distaste. It's mostly how things have been since. Charles and Scottie crossed paths. They were in the same Hall of Fame class. They paid tribute to Dirk Nowitzki together. They've done commercials together, like this Foot Locker one where they share the punchline.
All I know is all the greats have short memories. Scottie Pippen knows.
I sure do. And I'm the greatest Chicago Bull of all time.
Mostly they're TV personalities whose turns in the news cycle occasionally overlap. Sometimes they talk about each other, sometimes even kindly.
We all know Charles got a great personality, so it's...
Barkley's relationship with Jordan has wavered at times, with Pippen roped into some of the public mockery. But with or without Michael as intermediary, the relationship between the two seems to have settled into its natural
Yeah,
state.
they turned into like little
As
kids.
Acquaintances, associates, and even rivals, these guys do fine. But in 1999, strange forces combined to place Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen in the same orbit. Just those months of shared space and mutual objectives were enough to ignite a pretty nasty beef. So maybe don't put two people like this on the same team.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea.
Apparently.
Thanks a lot for watching Beef History. We've got more Barkley.
Absolutely. That was fantastic. I mean, I was looking forward to doing this one for a little while, but I didn't realize how good this was going to be. That was like, that's a 10 out of 10 job by Secret Base. Fantastic video. Oh, this brings back so many memories too, because, you know, Charles Barkley was, I mean, I was one of his biggest fans. I loved him in Phoenix, what he did for our team, and I was forever a fan. Hell, I'm still a fan of his in his TNT career. Like, I am a huge fan of Chuck. And then I was a huge fan of Scottie Pippen as well. I always had his back, always supporting him, defending him, you know, with my friends and whatnot. And Hakeem Olajuwon's my favorite big man of all time, still to this day. Notice I said my favorite, okay? So I don't want to hear anybody, oh, Wilt's the best, Wilt's the GOAT, or like, you know, Kareem's the GOAT. I said my favorite. But you combine these three guys, three of my favorite players of all time, on one Houston Rockets team, and I really like Rudy Tomjanovich with his never underestimate the heart of a champion. Dude, I was all on board with Houston. And it was hard for me because I'm a Suns fan, but our Suns didn't have a real shot at that point. So I was watching Houston and going, like, I really want all of them to win. And then, like I said earlier, poor Hakeem. He got stuck with these two guys. They were supposed to help him. They didn't. they brought drama and chaos into his life. Oh man. Anyways, that's this video. Let me know what you guys think about it. Do you remember all this? Because I remember a lot of it, but I don't remember all of those petty words being thrown into the media. Yeah, I mean, I remember more of what Barkley said, but I didn't remember like the line after line after line that Scottie Pippen threw his jabs to Charles Barkley. Like that was just too much, man. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Yeah, we'll talk about it in the comments like we always do, okay? All right, like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And ring that bell for notifications if you want to be notified on my next one, which is always less than 24 hours away. All right, everybody. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Don't make excuses and blame everybody for all of your shortcomings. Don't be that dude. It ain't cool. It's not cool. All right. I'm out of here. Peace out, everybody.